everyone, good evening, and you're welcome to today's edition of Religious Vocation here on Cafdil Television. I am Sister Marian, your host. We are also streaming live on Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast, YouTube, Cafdil EDU. Let's take this short break. When we come back, the conversation will begin.
Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices, the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program because it is Voices of God from the Valley of prayer and silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms, YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the Voices from the Valley. Lord, make me a means of your peace.
Today we are privileged to have the Provincial Superior of the Spiritans to share with us about his congregation and also a little about himself. So I'll go straight to Father for him to introduce himself to us. Good evening, Father, and welcome to Religious Vocation Digest.
Good evening, Sister.
Yes.
My name is Father Raphael Kobina Annan, Fanti by birth, but stayed and grew up in Kumasi. So originally from Cape Coast, so from Anamabo in the central region, but I grew up in Kumasi. Okay. I'm a Spiritan, the Spiritan Provincial in Ghana, the province of Ghana. The province of Ghana, through the instrumentality of Archbishop Sapon, Archbishop Emeritus now, were invited to Ghana after the Nigerian Civil War. Okay. And so we are here in Ghana for over 52 years. Okay. We celebrated our 50 years in 2021. So that's where we are. Spiritans in Ghana. The province of Ghana covers not only Ghana in territory, but we extend to Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, and that's where we are. Okay. We are over 58 active members working in Ghana now. Okay. And then we have over 56 conferences also working in various parts of the world. The world. Yes, so that's where we are as Spiritans.
Okay. Fanti by birth, tell us more about it.
Fanti by birth because my parents from Anmabo, my both parents, father and mother, are from Anmabo or were from Anmabo because both of them have been called by God. May their souls rest in peace. Amen. And then I was brought to Kumasi. So I won't talk much about my central region origin, even though I'm a Fanti, because I find it very difficult to say I'm a Fanti, but I'm not very fluent in the Fanti language. So very fluent because I grew up in Ashanti region, so I speak Ashanti more than the Fanti. That does not negate that I don't speak Fanti. I speak Fanti.
Okay, so you were brought up in Kumasi. Where did you have your basic education? So you decided to be a consecrated person?
Well, basically, my basic education I began in Kumasi. Here, as I said, because my father was working with the Electricity Corporation of Ghana. Okay. So I started in St. Peter's Cathedral, the school there, St. Peter's Boys School. That's where I started. And because my father was working with the Electricity Corporation movement, so I moved to Brekum. Then I started my secondary school in Brekum. From Brekum, I went over to Borgatanga Secondary School where I completed. It was from Borgatanga I came back to Bekwai, and from Bekwai I joined the Spiritans in 1988.
Okay.
Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices, the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program because it is Voices of God from the valley of prayer and silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms, YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the Voices from the Valley.
Make me a means of your peace.
We have diverted the location because of the rains, but it is not going to stop us from enjoying our beautiful conversation. So, Father, back to you. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
Yes, tell us more about the Spiritan congregation.
The Spiritan congregation, as I said, the Spiritans were founded. We have two founders. Venerable Father Francis Mary Paul Lieberman, a Jew, convert. We have Kula de Plas. So both congregations were working together for Africa. De Plas started his own for the poor people in the streets, and he gathered them. And that is why our mission is to work with the poorest of the poorest.
Okay.
So his congregation was going down. Lieberman has started all for Africa, the poor people of Africa. And so it was going, and both were going down in numbers, lack of vocation. So lack of vocation did not begin now. Even then they were going down.
Yeah.
So they merged together. In 1848, the two congregations merged. And so it became Congregation of the Holy Spirit under the protection of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So that's the full name of our congregation, Spiritan Congregation, Congregation of the Holy Spirit under the protection of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So we have two devotions to Our Lady and to the Holy Spirit, who is the inspirer of all things. And so we were invited, as I said earlier, we were invited after the Nigerian Civil War in 1971. So 72 we were in Ghana through the instrumentality, as I said, of Archbishop Emeritus Peter Kwesi Sapon. So he brought us to Ghana. All the missionaries were from Irish Ireland initially. All those who came in, the early missionaries, the first 6, they were from Ireland, because they were driven from Nigeria. About 300 of them were expelled from Nigeria. So Bishop Sapon went to Nigeria and saw the good works they have done. So he invited them to come. So Bishop Sapon went to Rome. They said, go to Ireland. They went to the island, and the Irish were well prepared to come. So we were started by the Irish Spiritans who came to Ghana in 1992, roughly.
Okay. Globally, which countries are you working?
Globally, the Spiritans are in over 62 countries or 38 countries. English, our official languages are English, Portuguese, and French. So these 3 languages, every Spiritan should have at least 2. That does not mean that I speak 2. I don't speak the 2. I speak only 1 English, but I'm picking up a little bit of French because of the province of Ghana connection with Benin, Togo, and Burkina Faso, because they are all French. So if this provincial has a French, it's an advantage. But because I don't have French, whenever I'm going, at least I go with a counselor who speaks French, so that it becomes very easy. So as I said, 3 languages: French, Portuguese, and English.
Okay. And in Ghana, which towns are you
In
Like the parts
Ghana,
of Ghana
we
you work
are in over 6 or 8 dioceses. In Ghana, since we started from Kumasi, then we moved to Accra. So in Kumasi, we have 4 parishes in Kumasi, 2 in the city and 2 in the rural. We have New Tafo, Bantuma, Yenehine, and Barikesi. We have 3 parishes in Accra. We have St. Barnabas in Hacho, Oyarifa, Our Lady Seat of Wisdom, which is a rectorate. We have St. Teresa's Parish, Bechele. So Accra, we have 3. And then the provincial house in Accra, in Adenta. That's where we are in Accra 3 dioceses. Now we move up to north. We are in Bolgatanga diocese. We have only 1 parish in Bolgatanga diocese. Unfortunately, Bichiretanga, C.S.Sp and Paul Bichiretanga. So that's where we are in Accra, in the north, in Borga. I moved to Yendi. Yendi too, we have 1 in Bichiretanga, Yendi. So Fumbisi, Badnavungo, Bolgatanga diocese. Fumbis, Bichiretanga, Yendi diocese. Then we move to the western region. We are in the Sekandi Takoradi diocese. 2, we are in Elubo, St. Anthony's Parish, Elubo. And then we are in St. Paul's Parish, St. Peter's Parish, New Atuabo. So that's where we are. Then in Goso, we are in Mankranso, in Goso diocese. And then Konongo-Mampong diocese, we are in Sakra Wono. That's where we are. Of course, we have our Spiritan novitiate, Spiritan University, which you all know about it, the Spiritan University College, by the Spiritans. That's the only second Catholic university in Ghana, mine by the Spiritan, fully Spiritan. So in Konongo-Mampong diocese. And then we have Sakra Wono. Then we go to Obuasi diocese. Obuasi diocese too, we have 1 in Trede, where Father Wuli and Father Emmanuel from Nigeria are also working. So roughly we are in the 8 of the 16 dioceses. We are not doing bad in 50 something years.
So we are really doing good.
Yes. So that's the foundation.
Okay. Looking into the future of your congregation, especially in Ghana, how is vocation?
Vocation, everywhere in the world, vocation is declining. So the Spiritans are not the exception. It's affecting us strongly, but it's not bad. God's grace is still working and still touching people who want to work and experience our charism. Our charism is to work with the poorest of the poorest. So we work more often in places where the church finds it very difficult to get workers. Where normally people will not go, the diocesan priest will not go. That's our mission. So it's entrusted to us. We are getting vocations more in Ejuso, where they begin the philosophy. Initially we have the philosophy, we have the postulancy, then novitiate, then philosophy and theology. Now we have reversed it. So I don't know whether it's having an impact, I'm not sure. So now we have postulancy, which is part of the 4-year university in Ejuso, and but we are going to begin the postulancy as a separate entity very soon. This year, by August, we will begin. So we have the postulancy, where the candidates are recruited, then philosophy, which is in Ejuso for 4 years. Then we do our novitiate. As a religious, we have to have a novitiate. So we do our novitiate in Nigeria. So they go to Nigeria, and then we do our novitiate there. When they are professed, they become Spiritans, then we send them on mission for pastoral year, pastoral mission experience. They can go to any country, anywhere for 2 years. Normally in Ghana, what we do is we send them to either English, French speaking or Portuguese speaking, because they have English. They are supposed to have 2 languages before they go. So the vocation, gradually we are having our share, it's having an impact, but we are not doing badly. This year we are 6, because we decided to cut it down, which I'll come back to it later, why we are cutting down vocations, because once you recruit them, you have to find them. And if you don't have money, you have to cut down the number so that we can cater for them. So we are not doing badly in terms of vocation recruitment. Our vocation director, a young dynamic guy, is doing very, very well.
At the just ended Arugro Consular Conference, there was a discussion about, I don't know if I'm right to say, abuses in our various communities. As a provincial superior, what are you doing that is different from what we already know that superiors do?
Well, at the superiors meeting, yes, safeguarding is very important. Safeguarding of our conference, of our communities, to make sure that our communities are good. Because if you don't have a good community, we live in community as a religious, we are bound to live in community. And so community life is very important, it's very essential. And so to live in a community, then that means that we have to create an enabling environment for everybody to exercise his gifts, the gifts that God has given. So far we haven't had any abuse, but that does not mean that it doesn't exist. It might exist, but it hasn't come to the safety. At least it hasn't come to my knowledge. But the whole entire congregation, we have our safeguarding policy, which recently has been updated from the congregation to the absented. Every member of the province has a copy of that. And so in our meetings, no matter what meeting, whether it's an assembly, whether it's a chapter, we have to have a safeguarding thing. And even at the provincial meeting, we have to review. If we hear of any abuse, we have to attend. So far, thank God, we haven't had any abuse cases. At least as a provincial, nothing has been reported to me so far. So we are doing very well in terms of protection.
From your experience as a religious, from the time when you began your formation till today, what do you think has changed from your time to what we are doing today that you think it needs to be reinitiated?
Well, religious life is the same. It doesn't matter the age it is. Community life is very, very important. Without community life, the religious life will become like the diocesan. They can't make any distinction. Yeah. So community life it seems to be changing. You want to appoint somebody to community, and community, our rule of life says we are gifts from each other. As members of the congregation, we are gifts to each other. But now you want to put up somebody in the community. Oh, this person, I don't like this person, I can't work with this person. So that is gradually creeping into individualism, is gradually creeping into religious life. Not only the Spiritans, but I suppose in other religious congregations, individualism is creeping into. These are things, as a provincial, I'm trying to safeguard that, so that we try to get back to our roots. Get back to our roots of living in community with our fellow confreres.
Back to the big question. How did you encounter the Spiritans? And why did you settle on that particular congregation?
Well, I normally don't want to answer that question because I was a mass server in Bolgatanga. As I said, I grew up spent more time in Bolgatanga, not from the central region. So in Bolgatanga, as a mass server, we used to work with the missionaries of Africa, what we call the white fathers. So as a mass server, I used to go with them to various stations, and then they were telling me, oh, can you join us? So after secondary school, there was that temptation to join them. But I said, no, I'm not called to leave even the priesthood life. I didn't want to become a priest. I didn't want to become a religious. But they kept on telling me. Then I let them move to Bolga. Then the diocesan priests, we used to have a diocesan mass service association meeting. And some of the priests will come and give us talks, seminarians will come and give us talks. After some talks, because I was the president of the mass service, they will call, oh, why don't you become a priest? I said, no. So my father moved down to Bekwai in Ashanti region, where it was manned by an Irish Spiritan. So my father, being a choir master and the church president at that time, took me to the parish priest, who was a Spiritan, to introduce me to him. As soon as he did that, he invited me the next morning for a talk. And then behold, he said, why don't you become a Spiritan? I said, I don't know much about the Spiritan. I said, don't worry, I'm going to Kumasi the next day. So from there we went to Kumasi. We went to the postulancy in Bantuma. Yes. So as soon as he introduced me to the vocation director, he said, oh, you have come at an appropriate time. We are beginning the postulancy in September. This was in August. And they are beginning in September, October, thereabout. So he said, can you come and join? We say have vacancy. So I said, from here to here to here. So that's how I became, I joined the Spiritan. At that stage, I couldn't say no, because I said, look, from Bolga, they have been following me, the missionaries of Africa. I didn't join them. I didn't join the diocese. Here am I. Maybe God's Spirit is speaking to me. Yeah. And that is why I agreed. We went to him. And so in October or September that year, September, October, I began the postulancy in Bantuma. That's 1988, thereabout.
I know you've not regretted your action.
No, not at all. Not
so
at all.
At that stage, what actually motivated you to stay?
Well, when he invited me, afterwards I came and then we spoke. When we arrived in Bantuma, we were 13 of us. So gradually we were led into what the Spiritan life is all about. To work, we are missionaries. First and foremost, he told us that we are missionaries. So even after ordination, you are not going to work back in your country. And they asked us, each one, whether we agree to that. So gradually he led us into that, and then the community life. So 13 of us, we made sure we were from different backgrounds. I think we were Fantis, Ewe, Ashantis, and those from the north. So, like the apostle, different places being brought together. So from there we learned, and he told us we work among the poorest of the poorest. And I felt that yes, something deep within me is pushing me to that. And I never regretted since then. So from there, we spent 9 months in Kumasi in the postulancy. We had to go to novitiate, so we had to go for medical tests. So again, we went for the test, and then he made a passport for all of us. Straight we went to the Gambia. So we had our novitiate in the Gambia. At that time there was no novitiate in Ghana. So after profession, novitiate was tough. Being in the Gambia, especially the food, which I don't regret now because we are getting used to it. As religious, as missionaries, we are eating rice every day, no single day. Afternoon, evening, afternoon, lunch, supper, until we're professed. But it's challenging, but it's, when we want to give our life to Christ and His trust, we boil it willingly. And so that's where we are after profession in the Gambia. We came back to continue our studies in Nigeria. Okay. Yeah, so I did my philosophy in Nigeria. Then we came back to Ghana for 1 year. After 3 years of philosophy, I came back to Ghana. I was sent to St. Maurice Parish in Labadi. So I did 1 year there for the pastoral ministry. Then back to Nigeria again for theology, where I completed and then was ordained in Kumasi in New Tafo Parish, one of the parishes mine by the Spiritan. 1st July 96, we were ordained there.
Okay. So you are 20 years as a priest?
No, more than 20 years.
30, sorry.
30
96.
years. Yeah,
so
30 July, I'll be 30 years as a religious missionary priest, which I don't regret with all these years. Difficult areas, difficult apostolate, but you know that, as you said, God's grace is always sufficient. So God's grace has pushing me all through.
Okay. Would you share with us one exciting moment as a novice?
As a novice? Oh. One exciting moment, we were... In the novitiate, you have to do everything. We said we were 13. No, we were 13 from Ghana, we were 2 from Nigeria. No, 6 from Nigeria. So about 19. It's a big group. So we have to play every game, every activity, you have to be involved. There was this, one of our priests now, who was in Ghana, Father Obumens, who was also doing his pastoral year. Okay. So he was working with dropouts, school dropouts. So he decided to organize a football match for us to, And the novitiate, as I said, whether you are a footballer or not, you have to participate in every activity. So we're playing football with them, they put me there, the ball was coming from the air, I always remember it very well. Then the guy kicked me, and before I realized I was down on the ground, my eyes, I couldn't see anything. I got up before I realized I was on the sideline. So I always remember that one, playing football with school dropouts. That experience has taught me a lot in working with people. But these are people we are going to work with as Spiritans. We're working with them. Perhaps not solid enough because we are not a football player. We don't have the skills. But we have to participate in every activity. So in the Gambia, I never forgot that experience as a novice. But I enjoyed the novitiate very well. But that experience alone, I always remember, and it comes to mind every time. That is the joy of the novitiate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Father. There are young men and women out there considering consecrated life. What advice can you give to them in their moments of discernment?
As you rightly said, discernment is important.
Yes.
So the young men out there, they shouldn't look at the various habits of the various congregations and let them be attracted by that. No, they have to you have to use the right word, discernment. So they need to discern, they need to listen to the voice of God speaking to them so that they will pray about it. So prayer is very important for the young men and women who are out there not checking things on their phones these days, and so being attracted by the habit. Oh, this habit is there, this one is this. I want to join them. I want to be a missionary because I want to travel out.
Right.
No, that is not it. They need to pray about it, and perhaps in discernment with their vocation director or whoever is accompanying them, they can make a better choice. So they need to pray more, the men and women or young men and women of prayer, so that they can embrace whichever congregation they want to join. The harvest is still plentiful, but the laborers are few. So all congregations, their doors are open to receive. And the vocation director too will have to discern so that they will also make better choices of the candidates and into the congregations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Father. Before you give us your parting words, in case there is any, I would like to share this. A story is told of a young man who wanted to be a religious, but decided to choose an international congregation because he had the intention to travel outside. Unfortunately for him, during his time, the congregation decided to do postulancy in Ghana, novitiate in Ghana,
philosophy in Ghana,
after profession, everything, doing everything in Ghana. So at that moment, whether it was disappointment or whatever, you cannot go back. So he still had to remain.
Right.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Those who choose international congregations because they want to travel outside, I'm sorry, you might be disappointed. So discern properly and know which charism you are connected to. That will guide you in choosing the right congregation. Any parting words for?
Yes, the joy of the religious life, we cannot overestimate it. And I'd like to tell those outside there who are watching us, parents, guardians whose children want to join the religious life, that you should encourage them to join the religious life, and as I said, to discern and pray with their children, not to push them. No? If you force your child or this to join the religious life, he or she would never be happy. Because vocation is a gift from God which you need to discern, you need to pray about it, and like somewhere they too have to listen, and they need somebody to accompany them. Parents have a duty, they have an obligation to teach their children in the Catholic way, not becoming a religious before becoming a Catholic. Yes, you're Catholic by birth, by baptism, but that is not enough. They need to be men and women of prayer in order to discern where God is calling them. Either as a priest, as a religious, as a missionary. Even religious, there are categories. Yes. It's not all religious are missionaries. So some are religious, some are missionaries who can go out. You don't join because you want to travel. As you said, it might be a disappointment. And as I meet with my students in Ejoso, I used to tell them, you can do the philosophy here, the postulancy here, and if we bring back, there used to be a novitiate here. If we bring the novitiate back to Ghana, you can have your postulancy in Ghana, novitiate in Ghana, philosophy in Ghana, and if you are not sure of the pastoral year, if you are not gifted in a language, you can still do it in Ghana. It's all missionary. You can be a missionary in Ghana, in your own country too, so that you can spread the gospel to every people. Yes. Such is our mission, and our mission is to bring joy to people. It's a joyful day, and I'm happy for this interview. It's a joyful day to be a religious. Let all who are watching us discern and pray. Religious need prayers. Pray for us. The harvest is still plentiful, as I said, but the laborers are few. May God listen to the voice of the young men and open their eyes and their ears to be attentive to the call and see where God is calling them. And if indeed God is calling them. He will give them the necessary graces. For His grace is always sufficient for those who put their trust in Him. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Father
you very
Provincial.
much. Thank you.
It's a privilege having you.
It's a privilege
on our
to be
platform.
interviewed in this, and I hope we will bear fruits that will last. May God bless you and your work that you do.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you
and
very
may
much,
bless you too
Father.
also. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
So to our viewers out there, thank you for joining us do this conversation. If you are discerning your vocation and you feel attracted to the Spiritans, the number is on the screen. Kindly call the vocation director. He will direct you on what to do. Once again, this has been Religious Vocation Digest on Cafdil TV. I am Sister Marian, your host. Let's do this once again another time. Until then, see you.
As I kneel before you,